Welcome to Burnout Box, Season 2, Episode 7.
Yeah.
Luckily, that's not higher than I can count.
I have a lot to say about that, but I think I'm going to keep it all inside.
I only learned to count to 8 because that's how many cylinders are in a Ford V8 engine.
Any V8 engine, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Deductive reasoning isn't a strong suit, is it?
Yeah. I just act like the Ford V10 never existed.
Pinnacle V8, they were down there.
Yeah. So we got a little topic for everybody.
Yeah.
And we get that question a lot. So I think it's a good topic to roll into. And
so the question is?
Yeah, so like how much horsepower is too much horsepower? At where should you stop? Because I think a lot of people are scared. Some are. Some aren't. Like Rebecca, she's not scared. But some people don't want to blow up their engine and make too much horsepower and blow up their engine.
Okay, so not scared, but I've always thought, always professed to be able to do a lot with a little, so.
Efficiency goes into that.
Absolutely.
You know, how you create that horsepower. So just an abundance of what's appropriate level of caution.
Yeah, and I think it varies for every person in every scenario.
Maybe, what's too cautious? What's just, I really had to keep the warranty, so I went with a warranted Supercharger kit, and I've got 500 turbo horsepower, and I just can't keep up with my friends.
If you're happier with the warranty than you are with not keeping up with your friends, do you?
Do you? And
check us out when you're done with your warranty.
and lose. Just lose. And I know that losing is not in your vocabulary, Rebecca. So, and I only make fun of that because we see people go down that path, and then like in 3 to 6 months they're not happy with that path, and we could have just started up this much higher.
For sure. Some people need to take baby steps.
Yeah.
People are probably like apprehensive walkers.
So we have 5 kids, and we've like seen the ones that are like, and then seen the ones that are like, oh, I don't want to fall over. I might get hurt. I will say I was a wimp when I was a kid. I was worried about getting hurt.
Oh God, I wasn't.
No, you weren't.
We have some comments coming
Comments? All right.
Yeah, not a lot of questions, but comments. So Nutty says hi to everybody. So hello, Nutty50. Gap Time says good evening, everybody.
Hey.
Mad Max says hi, Carrie, you're back. Yes, I'm back. And hello, BMP. Lauren says, whoa, loud. Now he says, Brian says it's also loud. So we might want to check to see. Guys,
loud.
Who was loud? Was it
me?
Me or her?
Yeah. Was it Justin or was it Rebecca? Let us know who was loud and we can adjust the mic accordingly.
It was the mics, I got it.
You got it?
You.
Okay. Let us know if there's any more issues. Slab Shack says Gen 3 on the mic because it was too loud. Apparently they were getting feedback. Janssen50 says, any interest in making a 2 or 3 relay trans brake install video for the 6R80?
Ooh. We keep thinking about if we really have to have a 6R80 trans brake, what is the better way to do that?
How is the best way to skin this cat?
That actually came up at lunch today because you need a 2-step and you need the trans brake for things to really work right.
Yeah, you've got to have a 2-step. Like, you just don't want to do it without a 2-step.
Yeah. And that's how it works like in the racing world, which is where the trans brake came from. And he's talking about a 2 or 3 relay trans brake. It can also be done with HP tuners on the newer Mustangs.
Yes. 18 up?
So, yeah, I think 18 up.
I thought it was 18 up. I know
Yeah.
Melissa Brooks had a cool video of her using hers in her car.
Nice.
Mad Max says no such thing as too much horsepower.
Oh, I like that attitude.
And Brian says it was Justin that was too loud, and Johnson's saying he's having a hard time hearing Rebecca and I now.
Unsurprising, honestly.
And Marcus Jennings says, hi, Carrie, Justin, and Rebecca. I love you guys. We love you too.
Thanks.
And that's it. That's all we have right now.
So,
Oh yeah, because we're only on YouTube. I'm like, how come we have?
Yeah.
We don't have to look in 2 different places. But yeah, okay.
Facebook is having its problems.
Hey, Facebook has been having its problems.
It was down a good portion of the day yesterday.
Amazing.
I heard. I didn't know, but I heard.
What did the world do?
The AMA sent them a thing to tell them that they needed to get with the program and only let people post scientific stuff based on evidence-based science.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
But it was for real that AMA did send that type of thing to everybody.
So, evidence-based science is empirical. So, since you're a scientist, is empirical evidence, can we apply that to what we're talking about tonight?
For sure.
And I guess what I'm saying is the abundance of data we have is combinations at different power levels that we see live 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah, I definitely think that's something that has been a foundation in everything that we do, is that we want the technology that we bring to market, the products that we support, to be based on good, sound data. Yeah,
I mean, the tunes that we do, we don't just wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to
put some time into this.
Yeah, we're going to see what happens on your car. Yeah. No, we've done it before in a controlled environment, on a dyno, on a racetrack. And
few racetracks.
Yeah, Jesus. The joke is, between me and Rebecca, we've seen the inside of every racetrack in the country. You know, when you're there racing, you don't get to leave, though.
Yeah. Yeah, we might not have seen anything with the city that surrounds it, but...
Yeah, we got to know the inside of the racetrack real well.
The food's not good.
Carrie, did you have some questions?
I have a couple comments coming in. So I had shared this over to Mod Motor Mustangs, and there's a comment over there that says, if you can't make use of it, spinning isn't winning.
Spinning isn't winning. Nice.
And yeah. Lucas has a question, says, how do I overcome the torque loss with my CJ and comp cams?
That's a great question. So a little bit of a combination and setup question, also a little bit of a tuning question, so and ultimately a racing question, because you want to go fast. So I think we can answer a lot of that here on Burnout Box, but Tuning Tuesday also gets more in depth with that stuff.
Like, people are getting a twofer with you here.
Yeah. And then after that, we're going to go into horsepower levels on blown Coyotes, not blown up, supercharged Coyotes, turbo Coyotes, nitrous Coyotes, and then GT500s. I think we cover all the horsepower levels. We can answer a lot of people's questions. So, you know, he's got that CJ intake on there. Mm-hmm. Rev that sucker to the moon.
Yep. RPMs will make up.
Yeah, and then that way when you shift, you don't...
I said RPMs and I hate that. It's RPMs.
Oh.
Oops.
When you shift, you won't drop as far out of the power band, and you'll be making more power after the shift. So your average horsepower going down the track will be higher, and you'll be faster.
Yep.
In addition to that, comp cams on the older Coyotes, they say to use limiters. I don't use them. If we put comp stage 3s in an 11 to 14 Coyote, I don't want to use them. I still want to have full control of the variable intake cam, and that's going to make a lot more torque. And those are basically your two options.
Yep.
I mean...
Combine them at will.
Yeah.
He said car makes 480 and 373 at this point.
Well, and that's a nice peak horsepower number for a naturally aspirated
Coyote. It really
Coyote.
is.
Like, we see a lot of cars.
That's really nice, actually.
Like, people don't realize, like, 480 wheel in a Coyote, like, there's not many of them that make that. I can probably count a couple dozen that been remote tuned, but, like, as far as ones that have shown up on the dyno, like, less than a handful, because most people don't go to the effort to build an NA Coyote. They just end up with boost.
So Lauren says too much horsepower depends on your suspension and tire combo.
Going back to elaborating on what was said on modular,
Yeah.
mod motor mistakes.
Spinning isn't winning.
Marcus says Facebook is being investigated or under investigation. He saw it early this morning on the news. So that's interesting to know. But like I said, it's been a mess the last couple days. So we are directing everybody over to YouTube today.
Maybe that's like investigated for withdrawing an addictive drug or something like that. Social media, I don't know. You know.
Gap time.
People had to go to rehab.
Yeah.
I feel an Amy Winehouse song coming up. Gap Time says, how involved is it to switch a 17 Roush 2300 to the Gen 3? Is it something I could do?
I could do it with one hand.
Yeah, like, can you put a belt on? That's going to be your biggest thing, honestly.
I mean, it's really, really easy, and the power gains are huge, and the limit of the blower overall is much, much higher than the 2300 that's on there right now. So the question is, if you swap to a Gen 3, how much power should you make? How hard do you want to push that combo? Because like you and I have been talking to customers a lot lately about, oh, okay, so I make this much right now. How much more will I make with a Gen 3?
Yep. And almost exactly that same exact scenario.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the 2300 stuff we know really, really well on the Coyote. We've been doing it for years. And, you know, as far as overall horsepower ceiling limits, they're going to be similar amongst all the superchargers. I guess really what I wanted to come out of this show is, you know, do I have to keep my Coyote at 600 rear wheel horsepower to be safe? Because I think we get that
Fair.
question.
Yeah. All the time.
And there's like other factors. There's fuel quality. There's the type of fuel you're using, because E85 makes more power by itself and has a higher octane. Thus, we would refer to it as higher quality. When we say quality, we really mean octane level.
Yep.
But we're going to just try to narrow this down. We're going to try not to talk too much about the tuning of the fuel and think more about combinations and power levels, so you guys can kind of solve for all the other problems and not have to solve for power, fuel, boost, supercharger, all the. And like that's a good level for pump gas. Safe.
Yeah.
Region
I mean,
to be
it's a very good general
And
rule.
It's funny, we did that with your Coyote back in 2010, and we were scared.
Oh my God! I thought my engine was gonna look like.
Yeah.
I don't know what I expected it to look like, but I didn't expect it to look brand new when we took it apart, and it did.
Made 673 rear wheel horsepower through an auto with like the original Roush kit in 2010, an enclosed airbox, ran 9s, and we're like, man, we're gonna do this once. We're gonna run the number, but then we're gonna take it apart and build it before it blows up.
We got to Maryland and went 985 off the trailer and just kept getting faster all day.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it was just insane.
Ended up going to 979. And you know, back then, that was in the early days of the Coyote. It was like, just nobody knew. I mean, we were almost doubling the stock rear wheel horsepower, and it took it. So, having had all these years of experience on our own vehicles and customer cars, 650, 700 rear wheel horsepower, a walk in the park, honestly.
Do it.
Yeah. Do it.
Jansen50 wants to know if you can talk more about the trans brake options. And then Brian says, would you feel comfortable pushing a Boss 302 stock block to power-wise on Ignite fuel and return style fuel system?
Ooh. Well, so I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
And I think we could talk about that. So the Boss is a built motor Coyote. And when you have a factory built engine, it's kind of like when you have like a Boss that had the better parts from the factory. It's not like a full-blown like aftermarket built engine, but a lot of the parts are definitely improved over like run-of-the-mill GT parts. And that's where people feel a lot more comfortable pushing them harder. And like, you know, with all this stuff, you can still have an engine fail at 650 rear wheel horsepower.
Absolutely. Like something that's unforeseeable.
Yeah, it's just, but it's very, very unlikely.
Right.
And when we
That's
have...
called bad luck.
Yeah. When we have a lot of empirical evidence that things live at a certain power level, we feel comfortable recommending that. And there can be outliers, but they're very, very few and far between. So to get to the point of the question, I had a Boss 302 that made, do you remember how much power my car made?
I honestly don't remember what it made. I mean, like, you know me and horsepower numbers, they really, like, I'm not the person to be on this show, actually. I want to know track times, that's all I care about.
I'm kind of jaded now because I'm going to say my Boss 302 did not make that much power.
It made good power.
It made 873 to the wheel with a Gen 1 VMP blower like 5 years ago. Like,
okay, but I started driving in, 2000? You started driving in 99. 873, like, would that have not blown your mind in 1999?
It's like 6 times as much horsepower as our V6 Mustangs had.
I don't even want to talk about
Yeah.
V6 Mustangs.
Yeah.
148.
The Ignite E90, any ethanol-based fuel, is going to add about 40 to 80 over pump gas. And because it contains oxygen, therefore it makes more power when it combusts. So I would not feel bad pushing that Boss engine to 900 to 1,000 railroad horsepower. There's a certain amount of power that gets absorbed driving the power adder, whether it's from the crankshaft turning the supercharger or whether it's from the exhaust back pressure that makes the engine more inefficient but creates a pressure differential to spin a turbine. So you can take that into account in different ways. But that's where I was going to go into efficiency. If you have a smaller supercharger that's totally maxed out and is taking a lot of power to drive, it's actually harder on the engine than a more efficient supercharger that's making the boosts and the power more easily, because you're going to get more horsepower registering into the rear wheels because it's not going to take as much to drive the supercharger. And that's where a lot of the benefits of the VMP Gen 3 come in, is it's just more efficient. It makes power so much more easily. And we can actually raise that recommended stock horsepower ceiling on a Coyote to 750 real horsepower pretty easily. Carrie, are we getting any more questions? Because I'm like talking a lot about this Boss and all this other stuff.
And that's how I didn't want to interrupt you.
Yeah.
So Janssen50 says, what do we do with our trade-in Gen 2 into our superchargers? He says, maybe, just maybe, I would try one out and shut the bottle off for now.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, we sell them through other channels, but because of the cost of the stage 1, 2, and 3 kits, there's really not a big savings using a trade-in head unit. So, we could save you like $250 off a brand new kit with a trade-in head unit, and there'd still be a warranty on it and everything, but there's not a big savings there. Because really, people don't realize this, but with supercharger kits, the supercharger is the least expensive part. It's everything else to take a non-supercharged car and make it supercharged that adds to the cost.
901 Soul says, wants to know your opinion on 390 gears on a FBO and a manual, 11 to 14 Cobra jet car. Street car does a mixture of digs and rolls, currently have 331s, not cutting it.
You said it's a manual?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Gosh, 390s. We had to have that debate on your car at one point.
I've never had 390s on my car.
Little known secret, I had a 97 F-150 4.6 that had 390s in it. Man, it's just a weird gear ratio.
It is, and like I've heard, and I don't know that any of this has any merit to it, but some people that race faster cars than me question their durability, and I thought there were other places that I could spend money and do work.
And there's the whole thing that like Ford gears are the quietest, and Ford never made a 390, so there's that kind of lore out there. But I'm sure there's probably a math reason behind the 390. It's probably 5th gear going through the traps or something like that, or in the power band. But I would be really tempted to stick to a 73 or a 410 if it was my car.
Yeah, I mean that's
try to play inside those lines.
I was there, and
Yeah.
and that's what I did. I've had both a 373 and a 410 in the car,
Yeah.
but not ever a 390.
Jansen says, what engine oil do you use in your Coyote engines?
Ooh. So, pretty much anything. I mean,
I just bought grapeseed oil at the grocery store.
Oh. Well, like a 5W30 or a 10W30 and just go from there. A 0W40, a 5W50. You know, you can run a little bit thicker, like Boss 302 Shelby GT500 oil, the 5W50 if you want. I'm just not like a super oil person.
I just get the mobile European.
Yeah.
Like, I got that. It works well, and why change what's not broken?
Yeah.
It's easy to find.
Let's see here. Joshua says he has a 4 Innovation fuel system on his Mustang GT. Crack the gauge on the system. I can still drive the car with no problems. Or don't drive the car until this is fixed. What should he do?
Oh, you know that little gauge everybody mounts there? I don't think it'll hurt anything.
I mean, I have no basis in saying this, but my inclination is you're fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, we were talking about this at lunch today.
I missed everything at lunch today, apparently. I'm usually here on Thursdays, but I was not today.
Similar situation in that fuel rail pressure sensor also mounts on the fuel rail in that area. You can actually blow the diaphragm out internally, and there's a vacuum line attached.
Lucas says, I'm running a Ben Colomer Stage 3 transmission with 373s. When I dynoed it trapped 140. Should I run a steeper gear?
Oh, dynoed it trapped. Oh, this is like some type of joke. What is my dyno trap?
Yeah.
But I think he means it topped out on the dyno in a certain gear at a certain mile an hour. I mean, if you're going to keep the car NA, you could put more gear in it, but you know, I feel like for most Coyote owners, being NA is kind of a transitional thing.
Ryan says, what's the difference between the ignition curve and when you say the NOx sensors added timing?
Oh.
Do your Tuning Tuesday thing.
Do my Tuning
That's not
Tuesday
the Tuning
thing.
Tuesday question. That's
Yeah.
what I was gonna say.
Yeah, bring it to Tuning Tuesday. We can talk more about that there.
You don't want me to learn?
Ryan,
What if I can't watch on Tuesday?
We'll address that question. Netty50 says, I'm about to install a, quote, VMP care package, end quote, on my 12 GT500.
Oh, awesome. Good. Let us know how you like it.
Post pictures.
Actually, he just sent a picture. I'm actually
Oh,
pulling it
good.
up right now. Brian, I don't know if you can capture that and post it so everybody can see it. Looks like he's got some fuel pump booster, some boosting. Looks like he's got a new blower in there.
If you're wondering what I'm looking at the computer screen over there. But,
Gasket.
oh, wow.
Oh.
We got a whole supercharger and everything in there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Nice.
Got a lot going on.
52-pound injector.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Timothy says, thoughts on a PMAS no tune required intake on an 1819 GT. Does it really make additional power over stock with drop in K&N, especially considering the cost?
So I've worked with those on the dyno, and I'm just gonna tell you, tune the frickin' car. Just like that, the 18 up engine especially breathes really well, and it does need a better cold air, but do the tune at the same time. Don't mess around with the whole no tune required stuff.
That's all we have right now.
So we were talking about GT500s. Let's talk about horsepower numbers on GT500s.
Okay.
800 is the new 700.
Is that like official? Like,
I don't know. It's just,
I feel like it should be like on a Vogue cover or something.
Yeah. We've been modifying GT500 since they came out in 2006, and they make a ton of horsepower. And obviously, we've been on the cutting edge with TVS Supercharger technology on them. And like when we had a smaller supercharger, it's very easy to stop at 650, 700 rear wheel.
So we're done.
Yeah, and And there were a lot of reasons for that. You know, with the smaller, less efficient supercharger, we had to run a lot more boost to make more power. We had to change the lower pulley. In some cases, the higher boost meant upgrades to the fuel system. But now, with a more efficient supercharger, we can make a lot more rear wheel horsepower without a whole lot of effort. I would say 700 to 750 on a GT500. Go ahead and do it. Even 800, don't worry about it. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. I've beat the piss out of my car, and Andrew released a video of beating the piss out of my car for me, and I feel like GT500s, with what we know as far as tuning these days, the parts that are out there, everything else, that they can be very reliable up at that 800 rear wheel horsepower range. You know, go ahead, Carrie.
Jason wants to know, are you guys or anyone else working at getting the 10-speed auto swap kit for 15 to 17s?
We'll touch on that in just a second.
Okay.
So the GT500 stuff, and we can go over the different horsepower levels at the different GT500 mod levels a little bit later. What power adder do you need to go to the XX horsepower level, and then where do you start to cross over beyond what's safe for the stock engine? To answer the question about the 10-speed auto, we got this on Tuning Tuesday too. It's just not worth it.
I was asleep.
The 10-speed auto makes that 18 car very quick, but the DI direct injected Coyote with GT350 heads and everything else makes that car very quick too.
Yeah, they complement each other.
So I'm sure that people are looking at, oh my gosh, the 18s are so quick, I want that 10-speed auto, but putting that 10-speed in an older GT5 or older GT is not going to make you as quick, because
it's not a panacea.
Yeah, you still don't have the engine, and I don't think you want those 10-speed problems. Just to be honest, it's going to be a lot of, I don't think anybody has a controller for the 10-speed, and I don't think you'll see that for a long time. The factory computer is designed to handle that incredibly complex 10-speed.
Northwest Horsepower says, hi guys. He got a chance to chime in on his lunch break. So he's on lunch right now.
Oh,
Hi.
awesome, thanks.
Have a good lunch.
Snowcone says, I'm thinking about a Boostane Pro tune for his 2007 GT500 with a Gen 2R and a 2.5-inch pulley. How much horsepower will I gain with 92 plus Boostane?
All right, so this is really like a Tuning Tuesday question,
Okay.
but it's a good example of horsepower levels on a different combination with the GT500. So I'm going to go ahead and I think we'll turn this one into valid.
Burnout Box?
Yeah, Burnout Box. I'm going to give you a wide range because he didn't say what exhaust was on it or anything. But the Boostane's going to let the tuner be a lot more aggressive with the tuning, and anywhere from 650 to 700 wheel. If you know your current setup, I would, if you're like 650 now, then I would add like 20 to 30.
He said long tube straight out.
Okay.
That's what he's got.
Okay, so it's definitely going to be a strong Gen 2R setup, so potentially closer to 700. But as always, your dyno results may vary based on conditions, tires that are on the back, rear end gear ratio, other things that sap horsepower from a dyno reading. I put that disclaimer in there because somebody came to us with drag radials and dynos.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, well, where's my horsepower? And we're like,
well, it's in the rubber.
Yeah.
And the rubber and all that, air.
It's like drag radials have a soft sidewall and a very soft compound, so they can hook up at the track. And
they're not going to hook on the dyno.
Yeah,
That's not going to benefit you.
And that, on the dyno roller, that gets converted to heat and registers lower horsepower. But, we don't worry about it because we know it's going to go fast at the track.
He said, okay, let you know on Tuesday. It's getting the tune then.
Cool.
So, sweet. I think the next question is going to be probably another Tuning Tuesday question, but I'll read it and we can defer them afterwards. 15 GT with an 18 intake manifold, long tubes, GT350 throttle body, and E85 tune. What type of horsepower would we be looking at?
So, have you seen any dyno numbers from any of those combinations?
I have.
We'll give the low and the high end of it. Like, should make like 420 pretty easily. Could make as much as 440 to 450, but no guarantees in life. Sometimes you get those cars that just dyno really, really well, and you're like, it doesn't usually happen.
Lauren says 5.4 versus 5.0 power and reliability. Any differences in your opinion?
Oh, that's another good one. It's a good one. So the 5.4 is kind of a built factory motor. It's got them forged piston thingies in it. We gotta keep it interesting. So I know how to make you laugh. But like the thing is, even though they put forged pistons in it, they still have like really tight clearances that aren't necessarily good for making a lot of horsepower. Like when Rebecca builds the motor for her race car, like proper clearances to deal with the extreme heat when you make a lot of power and pistons expand and stuff like that is really important. So that's why I made the comment earlier that like factory built motors are good, but they're not the end all be all.
Yeah.
But I think if we put that into actual numbers, like a GT500, being that it's supercharged from the factory, Ford overbuilt parts of it more than a Coyote because they knew it had to live with a supercharger. Whereas,
yeah, I had to withstand that abuse.
Yeah, like Ford has like internal durability cycles. They'll put engines on dynos and simulate 150,000 miles of abuse, driving, going wide open throttle. So like the fact that we can make so much horsepower with Coyotes is like a tribute to how good the engine is, but it wasn't designed for that like a GT500 engine was.
Phil Boost Demon wants to know, 1, what year truck was the truck manifold from? 2, would you recommend it for autocross racers? Thanks, Carrie and the VMP crew.
Ooh, nobody's asked what year the truck manifold was from.
Yeah.
So it was an 11 to 14 manifold. And I do not think you should cut, even autocrossing, I'm not crazy about sacrificing horsepower in the name of torque, because I think if you can control what gear the car's in, I mean, I don't know. You've autocrossed, we both autocrossed.
Yeah.
Like you get into that weird situation where it's easier to be in second coming out of a corner, but like if we can do a tune for you and extend your rev limiter and you can be in first coming out of that corner, there's just more power up there. There's no way around it.
That's all I have right now.
All right. So GT500 power levels. Did you see we made it official that we're taking stock M122 blowers?
I edited the press release.
Yes, you would know that. Sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah. So we actually got a video coming out on GT500 horsepower levels, and I'm just going to step through some common supercharger upgrades on GT500s. The stock blower maxes out around 550 to 600 wheel. It starts around 450 rear wheel horsepower stock, depending on the year. There's a little bit of variation there. You get up to about 550 wheel. Some people squeeze them up to 600 wheel, but like at that level, you don't have to worry about hurting the stock motor. You just don't have a good enough or big enough supercharger on there. Yeah, but we will take your not big enough, not good enough supercharger on trade and give you $350 toward a VMP Gen 3. So that's a new program for 2019.
Slapjack says, no VMP at Texas 2K this year, and I took off this week. I should have went to work. He said, great show, though.
Oh, sorry. Slapshack. Yeah, we're kind of taking it a little bit easy till the baby comes as far as the travel schedule.
And I'm still going to Tennessee, I think.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, and I mean, there's other people that could go to the races and the shows, but I don't know, man. Since we moved into the new building, things are busy. There's cars to tune and orders to ship, and
gosh, my feelings would be hurt if somebody went to Royal Raceway and got to race and I didn't.
Pegalaz says, you remove the front sway bar and brace from Chucky. Any drawbacks to removing those two components?
Oh, yes. I saw that question on YouTube. We did that to Rebecca's car way back in the day, too. You want to tell them what the differences are?
Notably for me, there was a little bit less weight on the nose. And, you know, could it be a little bit sloppier turning? Sure. Did I notice? No.
I just want to go fast in a straight line.
I have to turn at the end of the track.
Yeah, you're going real slow by the time you get to the end of the track. Yeah, you slow down. But the whole idea with that is less weight on the nose, and then the weight transfer of not having the sway bar on there. You'll actually lift the front end more easily.
And then you have to get yourself.
sorry.
Then you have to get yourself some decent struts at some point and control that.
Matt recommended we take the struts out of Chucky if we wanted to do wheelies.
Oh, we could do like a wheelie machine.
Jason says, since we're on 5.4 subject, in SVT Lightnings with your awesome Gen 2R blower, how much power can those 5.4s handle?
Having been around Lightnings and tuning them for a long time.
I know. You know what that made me think of? This was 2007, being at the Daytona Beach Speedway, and you having all those Lightnings on the dyno
oh, yeah.
You could hear them clear across the track. Like, I would be at one end of the track and be like, oh, he's making another pull. And like, that was the last big hurrah, I felt like.
Yeah, I mean, we still get them to tune from time to time, but not like we used to. It's crazy, but like a Lightning was a torque monster, 5.42 valve. So with a stock supercharger, like 400 wheel was a pretty good number. If you had your stock supercharger ported and hopped up with, you know, bigger, lower pulleys and stuff, you might be able to hit 450. But 98% of people pretty much stopped there, because more than that, and you had to build the motor. The rods in them were really weak. Like, at least with the GT500, Ford used a good rod and a good piston. With the Lightning, they only used a good piston, and the rod was not good. Now the Gen 2R is more efficient than the stock M112, so I'd say 450 to 5. But I would not pulley that thing aggressively. I'd keep it around 13 to 14 pounds of boost, and I would just like try not to blow it up until you're ready to build it.
Lawrence came back and said he wants to know specifically about the 5.4 versus the 5.8 in GT500s as far as reliable power level.
I think maybe we misheard. It sounded like 5.0.
Oh, 5.4.
Yeah, I think we misheard.
Oh,
Sorry.
we were talking about
5.4 versus 5.8.
We're not dumb, really. We just misheard.
Justin Young was over here, and he was telling me about, you know, how much he tries to educate Shelby owners that are buying 5.8 cars, because a lot of them now are 2, 3, 4 owner, and they've been modded, they've been put back to stock.
Oh.
We sold ours modded. It was
the only GT500 I've ever owned.
Yeah.
Justin.
And I still lay claim to it a lot of times.
Yeah.
So. But the 5.8, I like to call it like high strung. Like from the factory, it's making like 600 wheel, and I just feel like that leads to a high potential for abuse and potential
misuse.
Yeah. And it's a really expensive engine to replace. And like, I don't usually say that about Fords or Mustangs, because there's parts available, there's people that know how to work on them, and it's really not that expensive. but they don't make the block anymore, so they're like hard to get.
Yeah.
And that's driven the cost up. And it's like, it's kind of silly because it's like it's not that big of a deal, but you know, if you need a 5/8 block, where are you going to get one? The ceiling is very similar for both the 5.4 and 5.8, around 800 rear wheel. But with the 5.8, it's already so much closer to the ceiling to begin with. Like I said, it seems to lead to more abuse and misuse.
Ryan says, what is the number 8 cylinder problem on early Coyote engines?
Did you just send it?
I did something. I hit the cylinder number 8 delete button, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So back when the Coyote first came out, people didn't know how to tune them.
You're so kind.
And they
Let's
blew them
not
up.
mince any words here.
They just fucking blew them up. It was terrible. I mean, you know, and people were so bad at tuning them that Ford had to release a TSB saying, if you see these symptoms, don't warranty them because the car was modified. But like it was happening at an above average.
Yeah, like it was an epidemic.
Like, you know how Rebecca and I said that, like, yes, when you modify stuff, like, you know, things do happen.
To those rare outlier type situations.
Yeah.
These were beyond outlier type situations. It was like an epidemic.
And, you know, like...
And you could probably localize it.
Yeah. Like, don't turn the knock sensors off in the tune. There's, like, certain things you shouldn't do to a Coyote if you want the thing to live. So... yeah, don't do that stuff. But I just remembered I didn't call Sean from AED back. Sean, I'll call you back after the show. He's one of our Coyote tuner buddies, and he gets it. He doesn't hit the cylinder number 8 delete button. But and then the other thing I was going to say is, like, because of that cylinder's location on the engine and some of those tight factory clearances, like, there was a higher propensity to issues. So
Yeah, it was the weakest link.
yeah, and
Essentially.
it was found even on naturally aspirated cars, which is you know, kind of unusual.
Janssen wants to know on our intake manifold shootout. He's wondering if we ran the IMRC valves on the stock intake and on the 18 intake.
So that's a question we get a lot about the IMRCs. Naturally, if we just go look at one right now that's on the shelf out there, the valve is open and it's flush with the runner, and that is how it is run at wide open throttle. So it really doesn't matter because the state is the same. The IMRCs close at idle and at low speed to increase port velocity and like quality of burn in the chamber and like a little bit of torque at very light throttle. So yeah.
What's your opinion on an 18 ported manifold on a Gen 1 Coyote? Will there be a significant torque loss between the Gen intake, being the Gen intake doesn't run the IMRCs?
That's so like we were just saying, the IMRCs, they just work at like part throttle, very light part throttle. So if you're like racing or driving aggressively, you wouldn't have the benefit of them making torque anyways. And we run an 18 intake manifold on our Chucky car, and we just shift that puppy at a higher RPM and it goes real fast. That's my take on that low end torque loss. If you're worried about it, just shift higher.
Okay. Alexei says power 1819 BMP superchargers. Are there any word on those?
We're working on them.
Mm-hmm.
Working on them.
E85 Fed SVT says, are watt boxes bad for your car? Thinking of installing one on my Terminator.
It can be bad for your eardrums. If you push the clutch in, there's a certain situation where you can between clutch and gas where you can elicit a very large backfire, and that is bad for your eardrums. So, I mean, that type of stuff can damage engine parts. It usually doesn't if you use it properly. Keyword, do not try to create the situation that causes backfires on purpose a lot, even though people do it because it looks cool.
Slapjack wants to know, could a 5.4 be machined to a 5.8 in case someone breaks a 1314 GT 500?
That's a great question. And the answer is yes. You can just sleeve it with the 5/8 sleeve. The difference between a 5.4 is it's got a cylinder liner, and a 5.8 has a spray bore liner. So, you know, the material thickness that you would have from a cylinder liner now goes down to like 5 thou with the plasma wire arc transfer process, and that's where you get the extra displacement.
What kind of power can you get out of a 91.2 2.1 Gen 2 illuminator?
91.2 Gen 2 illuminator?
That's what it looks like.
I don't know what is that like a turbo or is that what, I mean, it's a Coyote engine, but I don't know what the first part
Yeah,
is.
what's the
9.1.2
part?
I think he's saying 91 year, like 91/92. Or is he saying 2:1 Gen 2 illuminator?
12:1?
It's not very...
Oh, I wonder if they meant 11:1 compression ratio.
Yeah,
that could be it.
or 9.5 to 1.
Maybe
Yeah.
there's no space.
I think that's it.
Is it 9.5 to 1?
9.5 to 1?
I think it's
Oh, the lower compression illuminator.
Okay.
Please don't put one in your car.
Yeah.
Compression is horsepower you'll never get back.
You want the
Basically.
compression.
Yeah, I mean,
We'll give you more if you put a blower on.
you can sometimes have to run 3 to 5 pounds more boost to make the same power with a lower compression engine. And with everybody using E85 and stuff nowadays, I see no reason to mess with the low compression.
Chris wants to know, are 2.7-inch 10-rib pulleys still for sale? He submitted a question to sales last week and he didn't see an answer. So
They just didn't get copied over to the new website, so that's one of the things that I'm adding. Just give us a call and we can sell you one.
Daniel says, so I'm at 750 to the wheel. He's on 94 pump, 11.5 PSI, and 17.5 to 18 timing at 7,500 RPM. What's your thoughts on how safe and reliable that is?
What was give me the first part again, Carrie?
750 to the wheel. He's got 94 pump, 11.5 PSI, and 17.5 to 18 degrees of timing.
I'd say that's pretty
Yeah,
safe.
that sounds really safe.
Yeah.
94. Where's 94?
They use it up in Canada.
Canada. That's what I
Yeah.
was kind of guessing.
Slightly better than 93. But
Well, I knew that part. I was just wondering.
Yeah,
where,
sorry,
Where in the
sorry.
world was Carmen Sandiego? That's all I needed to know.
Yeah. But I mean, the timing number and the boost number sounds pretty run-of-the-mill. It sounds like it's probably a turbo kit. So it doesn't take as much power to drive the turbos, so you get a little more power at the wheel.
Chad Dowd is chiming in. He says he's taking the stock motor out and he's putting a built one in. Can't wait to turn it up and let Justin do his magic.
See,
That's-
they have a baby girl. They announced yesterday or the day before that they're having a baby girl, and now he's making more power.
Congratulations, Chad, on the baby girl that your guys are going to be having, that your wife's going to be having for you.
Yep. You got that right. Good job.
Okay.
Nice
okay.
work.
And the built motor that you're going to be having for you. Yeah, Chad pushed his stock engine really, really hard and it didn't break. He was one of those outliers on the other end of the spectrum. We don't recommend trying what Chad did, but he did all right with it.
But if you do, you know.
Hey, Chad, I don't know if you ever sent me that 160 back, but we're getting them all modified to version 2. So I think you did send it back to me a while ago. But, yeah.
Jansen50 says, Rebecca, could you school Justin on a box back in the day?
On what back in the day?
A Fox or a box?
Box, B-O-X.
Like on like box, no box racing? Like
Oh.
I've never done that.
Yeah.
I just let go of the button.
Scott says, have you seen any power... Oh, Chad says, thank you both. Scott says, have you seen any power gain on the dyno with an aluminum drive shaft?
No.
It would be negligible. Like,
Yeah.
it would be negligible.
It's like, we know it's better, it's lighter,
Yeah.
but it's hard to actually see those numbers.
King Cobra 8625 says, no more Cobra life for me. I'm now the owner of a 14 GT500, so educate me, please.
Oh, yeah. Let's do a pulley, a tune, a throttle body, and then when you're ready, let's upgrade to a Gen 3.
He's already made your Christmas list for you.
Yeah. Basically, you've got a bigger injector.
Do it before Christmas. Get it done for Black Friday.
Yeah. That GT500 has a bigger injector and a little bit better fuel pumps, so you don't have to be as sensitive to fuel upgrades, but everybody goes to a 1000cc injector eventually anyways. The factory TVS is good, so really, I'd either upgrade that or go straight to our Gen 3. That's kind of the short version. But hey, tell us, we need to do a video on the 1314, so tell us what you want the video aspect to be from, because I don't know, we tune and modify these cars so much, sometimes we forget what the little people want to know.
You just really are not mincing any words tonight.
No, no, very direct.
Maybe you could say, what would be really
I would appreciate
helpful?
your insight into what would help you learn about your car more.
Start your journey.
Yeah, start your journey. Yes. Thank you.
That's why I do the editing.
Yeah, thank you.
We have about 3 minutes left.
Oh, man.
And I have no more questions right now
All
or
right.
comments.
So, what were you going to say?
I was gonna, if you had nothing, but I'm sure you don't have nothing.
I can find something to talk about.
I'm sure. Why don't you pull out whatever you want to pull out, and then I'll close with.
Okay. So, we got a bunch of cool videos coming out on a lot of different topics. So keep up on our YouTube channel, some new VMP products, always stuff that we're working on, and power levels on GT500 and Coyotes. I hope you guys learned something from watching this, and it helps guide your build decisions. Feel free to put questions and stuff in here. And that's...
Oh, you got two different answers.
Oh, yeah. And so I hope that helps you guide your build decisions, and feel free to ask any more questions in the comments even after this video is live. We'll still
we'll get
answer
with
them. What'd you have, Becca?
I was gonna just, if anybody's gone to Ponies in the Smokies, make sure to stop by and see us. Do we have any room still left on event scheduling?
Yeah.
So beforehand, definitely get with us if you need to get anything done up in Tennessee in Pigeon Forge. And even if you don't need to get stuff done, come by and see us. We're gonna have all sorts of parts and merchandise and
T-shirts,
stuff. Yep.
T-shirts, sweatshirts.
Hats, beanies.
Yeah, beanies because it's cold.
We have a number of things coming in real quick. I'll read them off quickly. Big Daddy Trucker says, "What's up, BMP family? Sorry I was late."
That's okay. You can rewatch us. It's the beauty of the internet.
King Cobra says E85 max boost, non-port bolt-on without being on jack stands. That's the guy that just went to the GT500. Big Daddy Trucker wants to know, how was your Popeye's dinner?
That's all right. How was yours?
Lucas says, how do I get over 9,000 RPM?
9,000 RPM, man.
Slapjack says, us little people want upper and lower pulleys for a GT500.
I'll tell you, with the Gen 3, upper only makes a lot of power.
Travis Scott wants to know if Shot, S-C-H-O-T-T, Shot, wants to know if anybody's going to OSW tomorrow.
I don't think we're going out there.
I'm not. I don't know if anybody else is planning to, but...
Yeah.
And then Jonathan Whitaker just chimed in and says, hey, what's up?
Hey.
And that's it.
All right. You want to close the show?
And
Or is that my job?
You have to do that part.
it is 7 o'clock.
All right, 7 o'clock. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. No, wait. If you don't like it, just don't like it. But
don't say mean things either, because it hurts my feelings.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of just keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
So.
You don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Anyways, we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.